Did I do that? Did I do that? Did I do that? Did I do that? Did I do that?
Found tears on your pillow, take my loan away.
Dun, dun, dun. People of color in video games. So what is a blurb? I mean, we saw this clip with my man Urkel. When I first heard it, this is my only reference. But really, what does that really mean in terms of blurb? And I'm gonna go straight from the internet. Afrofuturism, diversity, inclusion, representation. So blurred is just a combination of two words, black and nerd, which a lot of you probably already know. But behind that, it's just that a person of color that likes nerdy and geek, regardless of gender, skin, or sexuality, and so on and so forth. Okay, this is part of the Urban Dictionary, but what does that really mean? This is my original copy of Shinobi on the Master System. How much of it playing Ghostbusters back in the day? Oh, they're bringing it down! Yo, the llamas! So many llamas! Alright, so do I really fit the bill? I mean, Urkel is the man and everything, but do I fit the bill? I mean, I don't know. What I want to explore is 3 people that have really influenced me on this journey in terms of this channel, in terms of the podcast, and just making me who I am today. Come follow me. Yeah.
Found tears on your pillow, take my loan away.
Alright, let's start off this list with the man with the master plan. And this is a video game channel, so I gotta talk about my man Jerry Lawson, creator of the Fairchild Channel F video game system. And this is significant because this was the first system to be able to actually switch carts out of the system to play different games. Previously, before that, if you did buy a video game system in the 70s, mainly it was a system that had only one game, and it was Pong. And there was another system that did come out, the Magnavox Odyssey, and it had like a kind of a cartridge system. That one was more of variations of Pong. Biggest thing about Jerry Lawson, besides he's black, well, that is too, but he was a big dude. He was tall. If you saw him, you wouldn't really figure him as an engineer, aka programmer. But he was a nerd. He was a geek, yo. He was a guy tinkering in his garage, doing his own projects on his own. And he was the guy you would bring your TV or your radio to get fixed, because he was knowledgeable about that stuff. Hailing from Queens, New York, he ended up getting a job at Fairchild Semiconductors, all right, in Silicon Valley. He wasn't in the engineering department a little bit, but more on the sales. But that just gave him access to all of Fairchild's tech, which was great. And he brought a really revolutionary piece of tech from Fairchild, which was a microprocessor, a really small chip that was allowed computers to do hundreds of calculations, processes at a fraction of time than the older stuff. So what he ends up doing, he takes it to his garage and he makes an arcade machine, yo, which is crazy. It's called Demolition. It had a steering wheel on it. I think it was one of the first of its time. But Fairchild ended up sending representatives to his house because he wasn't allowed to take the chip. He wasn't allowed to. So they're like, yo, you need to turn the chip in. It's our property. But before that, he was like, yo, come on, check this out. You gotta check what I built. And after a couple of minutes of the representative coming in and playing Demolition Derby, they were like, all right, this is good. let's move ahead and see what more we could do. After that, it was the big thing that he was planning on doing was creating a system, the Fairchild Channel F, that would be able to swap carts out. And he actually met with Al Alcord and Nolan Bushnell. Those are the heads of Atari at that time. They were doing the same thing around the same time. Like, Atari was trying to create a system where they could swap out carts too as well. Jerry got there first. But after that, the 2600 ended up coming out. But you got to give credit to Jerry, because that when it came out, the 2600 for Atari, when it came out, without his advancement and his release of the Channel F gaming system. So really important part of people of color in gaming history, or just Blerdom. And yeah, let's move on to the next one.
Found tears on your pillow, take my lonely me.
Next on the list really harkens to my childhood. When I was younger, I think my first system besides my Tandy 1000 was a Sega Master System. Excellent system. I even still have games for it today. But I remember going over to my friend's house and playing The Legend of Zelda on the Nintendo. So I would, when I went back to, my house, I was like, wow, Sega doesn't have a game like Legend of Zelda. I'm wondering if I can make it. So I actually sat down with grid paper and actually created a game with a bunch of dungeons, and I mailed it to Sega of America. And I actually got a reply back. They were really kind about it, but they said that, we have developers, but thank you for showing interest. Be sure to save this because you may be able to use it later on. Of course I didn't. And the reason why I bring this up is the next person of color when it comes to like Blerdom that contributed to my nerdy self, right, is Michael Pondsmith, creator of the pen and paper game Cyberpunk 2020. And also, you probably heard of that Cyberpunk name, helped out create the video game Cyberpunk 2077. Michael Pondsmith, another big dude that if you first saw him, you probably wouldn't think that he was in that stuff, but he was. And in terms of just creating worlds, especially the pen and paper game, and Cyberpunk 2077 too as well, like he didn't really want to get into gaming. The biggest thing for him was that he wanted to be a special effects set designer. He wanted to create big like starships that would be in movies like for Star Trek or like Battlestar Galactica, stuff like that, Star Wars and everything. But he had a friend that played pen and paper games, specifically D&D, alright, D&D. So one night, they were chilling, and then he was like, oh, I'm gonna go over to my friend's house and we're gonna play this game, Dungeons and Dragons. That's what D&D is. Michael went, and then he fell in love with it. He had his first character build. I believe it was a paladin, if I remember correct from the interview that I watched, and he fell in love with it. But as he was playing the game, he realized that he really liked it, but some of the rules he felt like were a little bit wonky, and he wanted to change them. And then also the setting, because Dungeons and Dragons is like a dark age, medieval type of background, and he didn't feel really connected, which I feel him too, because I do play games like that, but I'm not really into the whole medieval castle stuff, and that's just not me. But what he did, instead of like kind of just stop playing and everything, he sought out games that would do that, and he found a game that was set in space. It was another pen and paper game. It was set in space, so he was like, oh, this is great, like, because this is the thing that I was going to school for. So he ended up getting that game, but then started changing the rules so it better fit him, and then got other people to play, and they really liked it. So with that, he kept moving forward. He actually created his own pen and paper company along with his wife, and with that he created other games, but his noteworthy game is the Cyberpunk 2020, and he created that in a way where it reflects what he was seeing or what he thought was gonna happen, like, to society, by looking like politics, economy, like how society treats each other and everything. And you could see that in the pen and paper game, but then also the game Cyberpunk 2077, how people take technology and it either benefits them, or later on it actually, you know, hurts them. Yeah, I mean, like, Michael Pondsmith. And I gotta pause for a second and just make this clear, is that a lot of these guys, I do mention the physicality of looking at these guys, all right? Not just because they're people of color, but like size-wise and everything. Like, look at them, they're supposed to be doing something else, and they're that related to their physical appearance, but they don't do that, which I think is a very brave thing to do, to not, you know, settle with the status quo and kind of pushed off into your own lane. And you only could do that with you know, people that are not doing the same thing as everybody else. So I think they got derailed, or at least Michael Pondsmith got derailed from his set designing, but that didn't like deter like his creativity. I didn't even realize that he was in the video game industry for a very long time. It's only with the Cyberpunk 2077 you start hearing him, but I heard that he there's a game called Mech Warrior 2 that was on the Xbox. He was involved in the story for that, world building for that. There's another, like, it's just like a speedboat racing game called Bloodwake. At the end of the day, follow your passions and especially do things that you are passionate about, because at the end of it, you get like your best work, and then you get the best representation of who you are and then what you're capable of and everything. So I mean, that's my opinion on it, but let me stop jabbering and let's move on to the last person of color when it comes to Blerdom Nerdom.
Found tears on your pillow, take my lonely.
Alright, last on the list, contributing to my Nerdom / Blerdom, is somebody new. So, how can I say this? I love Star Wars. Like, can you tell? Can you really tell? Okay. Ever since when I watched the first Star Wars movie, you know, the one that was released in '77, I've been in love with Star Wars. I've cosplayed like my own Star Wars characters. I've watched the movies, I've played the games, good and bad. I think the most iconic thing with Star Wars is the lightsaber. I mean, I don't have one of them on me right now. I wish I could switch it around, but I mean, the iconic sound when you ignite the blade. Recently in Florida, Disney has opened attraction. It's called Galaxy's Edge. This is nothing new. I'm just saying it out loud. And you can go there and you can build a lightsaber and everything like that. It's amazing. It's expensive, but it's amazing. But they have live shows of different parts, different scenes from Star Wars. And then this man, which I'm about to talk to you about, all right, he created a extendable lightsaber that they used during the live action sequences that they do down at the Galaxy's Edge at the attraction. And that man's name is Lanny Smoot. He has been selected to be inducted in the National Inventors Hall of Fame. All right, he has over 100 patents, and 74 of them, I believe, are with Disney. Along with the extending lightsaber, he's done effects for different rides. And Madame Leo in the Haunted Mansion ride, she floats. He invented a way to have her float, but without wires or anything like that, which is amazing. I think one of the biggest accomplishments that he's done, for especially now with VR. He created it's called a hollow floor, and if you go on, I don't go cruises. I don't like the water. Very scared of deep water, but on Disney line cruises, you can actually experience and use this. And the big thing about this floor is that it's like a treadmill, and you can move in a VR environment and you don't fall over. I think the biggest thing with VR, you've seen a lot of the fail videos, is that when people are in VR, they feel like they can move around and they end up like slamming into a wall or punching the television, so on and so forth. But with this hollow floor, all right, you can actually move around, and it treadmills and it moves, kind of like similar to that movie, Ready Player One. If you read the books, way better, but in Ready Player One, you can see the main character. He's on like an omnidirectional treadmill, so as he's moving in the game, he doesn't bang into anything. The treadmill is moving along with him. So I bring him up because not only he is piquing my interest with this extendable lightsaber. Hopefully at some point it's available for the public to get. Just the matter of fact that there is so many inventions that people of color has created. I have this big poster in my classroom where it's called Black Miracles. I got it a very long time ago. I think you can still get it online if you look it up. It says Black Miracles on the top, and it lists almost every invention that a person of color has done, from like air conditioning, traffic light, so on and so forth. So to see that in the news, it just brings me back to why like it's so important that, you know, we have people of color being nerds, or now it's called birds, because it's a benefit for all in society. So especially me being a Star Wars fan and hopefully gonna get an extendable lightsaber. Please, please, please. All right.
Found tears on your pillow, take my lonely me.
Alright, that's it. That's on this year's People of Color Gaming, where I'm just talking about a couple of people that influenced my blerdom / nerdom. Jerry Lawson, creator of the channel F, yo. Video games wouldn't be the way they are today without him, without his innovation. Michael Pondsmith, story creating and world building a lot of the games that we have now, even the genres of just cyberpunk in general, wouldn't be without him too as well. You see airs of Afrofuturism in that too, so big ups to him. But last but not least, Lanny Smoot, who is inspiring a generation of inventions through bringing like childhood memories like the lightsaber to actual real life. So big ups to him. So again, I'm gonna come full circle and just talk about this term blurred. All right, now you saw a clip in the beginning where I showed Urkel kind of doing the dance, and that was my vision at that time of what a blurred was. It didn't have a name, but then, you know, with the sharing of internet, now that's what it is. But honestly, I just think it's just people with, you know, really creative imaginations that want to think outside the box, not looking outside the window and thinking that's all what it is, but there's something that's beyond that. So with that, I'm gonna say these three things, y'all. Stay nerdy, alright? Stay black, and throw that fist up, alright? Catch you on the flip for next year.